Hey everyone, this is going to be a 2-day lecture vocab activity. I know you love these. So I'm giving y'all guys more of this. And I heard so many great reviews about what y'all thought of layers of the ocean. I'm giving you layers of the lake. So lakes are inland depressions containing standing water. So basically, big nurseries for mosquitoes. Lakes are found all over the world. They are not evenly distributed on the Earth's surface. Most are located in high latitudes and mountain regions because the ground's more uneven. Canada alone contains 50% of the world's lakes. Lakes are formed from either glacial erosion and deposition, shifts in Earth's crust, craters from some extinct volcano, or landslides. So there we've got some nice pictures of lake formation. Glaciers form lake basins by gouging holes in loose soil or soft bedrock, depositing material across stream beds or leaving buried chunks of ice that later melted to leave lake basins. When these natural depressions or impoundments filled with water, they became lakes. So a great example of this is the Great Lakes, which is on the Canadian-US border. Then you have shifts in the Earth's crust. So Lake Titicaca in South America is the highest large lake in the world. It was formed by melted ice and snow. The melted ice and snow filled a basin in the Andes Mountains that was formed by folding of the mountains that cause cracks or faults in the Earth's crust. Then you have a crater of an extinct volcano. And you have landslides, like the one of the lake in Pakistan. Physical characteristics of lake. You have light. This is influenced by silt and other materials carried into the lake by the growth of phytoplankton. Temperature varies seasonally with depth. Density. Water is most dense at 4 degrees Celsius and becomes less dense at both higher and lower temperatures because this density temperature relationship. Many lakes in temperate climates tend to stratify, that is separate into distinct layers. So there's your temperature density relationship stratification chart right there. Not that any of y'all are going to read that. 3 layers in lake stratification. So intense heating of the surface waters of the lake help create a strong stratification of lake water. You have epaulement, that word, an upper layer of circulating warm water, usually no more than 6 meters deep, where dissolved oxygen concentrations are moderate to high. Then you have metalimnion or thermocline, a layer of rapid temperature and oxygen decrease with depth, often quite thin, separating the upper and lower layers. And you have hypolimnion, a cold, deep water, non-circulating layer. There's a picture for y'all guys. So what is overturn? Overturn is a circulation which recharges oxygen and nutrients through the lake basin. Typically, when a freshwater body is going through a process of overturn, it stinks. Lake overturn. In temperate lakes, the changing of the seasons helps move the water of the lake. Tropical lakes often stay stratified because warm water always stays on top. In temperate lakes, the winter months chill the surface water so that it gets colder than the water underneath, causing it to sink. This happens in the spring and the fall. So there's a picture of like overturn. So zones of a lake. You've got your limnetic, your profundal, and your benthic, similar to in your littoral, similar to what we saw with oceans. So your littoral zone is a shallow water zone. Light reaches the bottom, stimulates growth of rooted plants. This is the area near the shore at the top of the lake that receives sunlight. This is that marshy lake edge. Your limnetic zone is the sunlight part top of the lake, similar to the littoral. However, the limnetic zone is away from the shore. Most photosynthesis occurs in this part of the lake. Your profundal zone is a deep ocean water. Where it's too dark for photosynthesis to occur. In the beginning, it is marked by compensation level of light at point at which respiration balances photosynthesis. If I could just wake up this morning, that'd be great. So for the profundal and benthic zones, low levels of photosynthesis result in levels of dissolved oxygen. The benthic zone is the very bottom of the lake. Organisms here tend to tolerate cooler temperatures well. It's the place where decomposition takes place. For the profundal zone and the benthic zones, low levels of photosynthesis result in low levels of dissolved oxygen. You have nutrient status. So you have your eutrophic systems, your oligotrophic systems, and your dystrophic systems. So your eutrophic systems, these are lake types with high production associated with high nitrogen and phosphorus, increased growth of algae and other aquatic plants, and they experience oxygen depletion. Water is clear and appears blue to blue-green in the sunlight. The nutrient content in water is low, and although nutrient is abundant, phosphorus is highly limited. Low production of organic matter, particularly phytoplankton, and oxygen concentration remains high. Then you have your dystrophic systems. These are lakes that receive large amounts of organic matter from surrounding lands, particularly in the form of humic materials that stain the water brown, low only in phytoplankton, planktonic vegetation, but have generally high productive littoral zones. Littoral vegetation dominates the metabolism of the lake, providing a source of both dissolved and particulate organic matter. So there's your eutrophic lake. There's your oligotrophic lake. And then dissolved oxygen. We're not even going to get into this. I'm not awake enough for that. Lake organisms. We all know about the fish. Then you got your amphibians and turtles. And then you got your larger zooplankton insects. So living things equal plankton. So animals are zooplankton. We know that plankton is a drifter. So a zooplankton is a drifter animal. You are not a zooplankton. Don't worry about it. Algae, phytoplankton, bacteria, bacterioplankton, dead material, detritus. So you have internal produced within the lake, external washed in from a watershed. Those that live on the lake bottom, so you have benthos. These are mollusks, clams, snails, and other invertebrates such as worms and crayfish. Plants, higher plants are macrophytes. Attached to algae are periphyton, and then bacteria and fungi. Sewage sludge, mixture of algae, fungi, and bacteria. Plant adaptations, zonation of emergent, floating, and submerged vegetation. We will get into this later, so put a pin in that. We'll circle back to that. Shallow water, you have spike rushes and small sedges. Adaptation, the roots are anchored in the bottom bud. Deep water, you have bulrushes, reeds, and cattails. Narrow, tubular, linear leaves that have broad leaves. Linear and also have broad. How can they have linear? I don't give up. Okay, floating plants. You have your pond lily and your pond weed. Adaptation. These are poorly developed root system, but highly developed aerating system. And then you have your submerged plants. And then you have your fishes. We know all about these. And then you have your diving insects, such as your water boatmen and diving beetles. They carry an air bubble with them when they go underwater in search of prey. Some of them can also breathe through their butts. Human impact. The shoreline is parceled into lots. Residences spring up. Nutrients seep in the septic tanks, and pesticides find their way into the lake. Before long, the structure of the lake changes. This is why they're now very strict about how close you can be to the lake, what kind of stuff you can do around the lake, what kind of fertilizers, everything like that. Motorboats discharge an oily mixture that can lower oxygen levels and adversely affect the growth and longevity of fish. And weight created by motorboats disturbs littoral vegetation. So human impact, overfishing, pollution, and introduction of exotic species accidentally or on purpose, like zebra mussels. Human activities like road construction, logging, mining, agriculture, and another heavy loads of silt and nutrients, especially nitrogen, phosphorus, and organic matter. Yay, we're done. And that wasn't that long. So I will see you guys hopefully next week. Behave, do your work, turn it in. I know not all of y'all have been doing that. And I'll see you hopefully next week, next Monday. Y'all got a test next week. I'm making that now. Bye.